Well, one of the most famous motorbike races in the world is the Isle of Man TT. For 2 weeks of the year, hundreds of bikes roar around the usually quiet roads of the island in the Irish Sea. But at next year's event, it's possible that on one of those days, the racing won't be quite as loud. Plans are in place for the world's first emissions-free Grand Prix, the TTXGP.
With over 100 years of history, the TT is one of the best-loved events on the motorcycling calendar.
Arguably, the TT is perhaps one of the most famous road races on the world, and there probably isn't another event which has influenced motorcycle development and the industry in quite the way the TT has.
And for next year's event, motorcycle development will be pushed even further, beyond petroleum.
If you look at the history of the TT races, right from its earliest days in 1907, it's all about innovation and the development of motorcycles. And therefore, whereas we've seen that innovation and development of motorcycles from the very earliest petrol-driven engines, we're now moving into a new era, and we recognise the potential of eco-TT, the potential of using different source of energy to drive motorcycles.
Exactly what source of energy will drive the bikes will be up to the teams taking part, but the principles are simple.
The two basic parameters of the race which really take us to the next generation is, one, non-carbon based propulsion. That means obviously no fossil fuels, but crucially no biofuel either. We're looking beyond that. The second big thing is non-toxic emissions.
So far, there's been interest from over 40 potential teams around the world. One of those teams is Kingston University in London, where the motorcycle engineering course usually focuses on racing teams for petrol-driven motorcycles.
We also get involved in a number of projects related to electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, and this was just the perfect fit, bringing the new technologies and the racing together for the students. We know we need to have a running bike by January, so we're realistic about it. We will be taking an existing bike and using the main running components of that, but just removing the internal combustion engine, replacing that with the new engine that fulfills the rules of the TTXGP.
It's likely that Kingston's design solution will feature a silent engine, something that's difficult to imagine in the very loud world of TT racing. But Brandon and his students have a solution: a noise-generating system.
People come to watch a motorsport or a racing event because they like the noise of the vehicle. And if all they're hearing is tyre roar across the tarmac and no engine, it can be a bit deflating, in my view.
With only months until the race date, it's not just potential teams that are busy. For the organisers, there's still much to be done.
There's a huge brand value to be protected and exploited with sponsorship deals, merchandising, and also broadcasting, and then other exploitation through perhaps new media. There are a lot of practical arrangements that have to be put in place, rules for the race, deals with the teams who are going to run bikes, and also marshals, security, staging and so on.
And despite the economic downturn, the organisers are optimistic that plenty of other sponsors will be keen to have their names tied to the event.
I think despite the current problems in the credit markets, we're fairly confident that we will get the brands that we need to come on board, and we've got a tremendous proposition to offer to them. Genuinely green motorsport doesn't exist in any part of the world, and whatever initiatives are going on in the motorsport world as it stands now, those are incremental steps.
There are still some who question the green credentials of this ambitious enterprise. The TTXGP motorcycles may be emissions-free, but the carbon footprint could be a large one for building, transporting and charging the vehicles themselves.
What we're trying with the TTXGP is to start at the vehicle end, because that is really the, if you like, the fastest thing that we can change. You know, it takes years to put a power station up. It takes tens of years to put a distribution system up, but TTXGP, we believe you'll see the vehicles that are racing next year, they could be productized within 2 to 3 years. In other words, it's a meaningful step change in a meaningful time. And we take it, and step by step, we grow, we expand the story.
Well, that's it for this week's World Business. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again at the same time next week.